Hallo zusammen. This one basically came out of nowhere and then it existed. Well, I guess the new Rammstein single has that in common with its own topic, Die Zeit. It came out of nowhere and it just exists. It's there. And right now, meaning just in time basically, we're gonna be talking about the song's German lyrics, what they mean in English, what they translate to basically, and what makes them special and outstanding. And I don't want to exaggerate here, I'm a German, but from my personal German perspective on these lyrics, I truly think Till outdid himself here. It's a masterpiece. And here is why. Before I'm gonna start talking about the lyrics to Rammstein's song Zeit, which is Die Zeit, singular, die Zeiten, plural, the time, I just wanna let you know that if you like Rammstein and if you like the German language and culture, maybe in a combination even, well, this channel might be suitable for you, to put it this way. Feel free to subscribe and to watch my other Rammstein related videos or my many other 700 plus videos about the German language and culture. For the sake of conveying the basic structures and outlines, the meaning of these lyrics in a literal way, well, these translations will be quite literal and rather direct, just so you know. And I'm also gonna give my personal interpretation of them, what they could mean, what they do mean to me, basically. But of course, that's just one potential possible interpretation among many. Generally speaking, the song basically mentions human connotations of time, including passing, loss, and death, but also the gift of lifetime through birth, as portrayed in the music video too, and our skills to experience beautiful moments consciously and willingly. It is quite reflective and mature in nature, thought-provoking and emotive. Before the first verse actually starts, the song features a short introduction. Manches sollte, manches nicht. Wir sehen, doch sind wir blind. Wir werfen Schatten ohne Licht. By using the tandem-like structure manches, manches, the actual duality of time and connotated choices we can or even have to make in life gets outlined directly. The use of the collective plural form wir, we, makes the lyrical I become all of us, humanity, basically. Usually, I really dislike generalizations, since in most cases they wrongfully simplify certain explanations, but I guess it's right to use wir here, because, let's face it, we may have different paths in life, but we all have to equally live with time passing, which is linked to both positive and negative experiences we all make in our contexts and life bubbles. Wir sehen, doch sind wir blind could imply that while we are aware of our short time on this planet, we still act as if we lived forever sometimes and even neglect caring enough for our surroundings. As well, the sometimes problematic interaction between older, current and upcoming generations. For instance, mistakes made by older generations in terms of environmental protection and decisions we may or may not make today for future generations. That can be seen as a burden or as a chance. Or, coming back to the lyrics, it can't or does not want to be seen enough. Wir werfen Schatten ohne Licht may express how we commonly acknowledge the what is done, what has happened aspect of life and time. The past is the shadow, basically, while knowing about the future, but not knowing about it in detail at the same time. Light has to be in front of us to cast shadows behind us. I love how Till paints a lyrical picture with these lines alone, and we're not even in the first verse. Talking about it though, the first verse directly picks up on that. Nach uns wird es vorher geben. Aus der Jugend wird schon Not. Wir sterben weiter, bis wir leben. Sterben lebend in den Tod. Dem Ende treiben wir entgegen. Keine Rast, nur vorwärts streben. Am Ufer winkt Unendlichkeit. Gefangen so im Fluss der Zeit. Wow, honestly, wow. I'm deeply impressed by Till's lyrics here. When you think about it, it's basically a no-brainer. We can do whatever we want to do, but what's done is done. However, I reckon it's only a no-brainer when you really are aware of that and you really think of that consciously or willingly. Because sometimes I fear some people might not actually get that totally. And that also sort of resembles in their actions or their doings in a not so positive way all the time. I reckon many of us even willingly displace thinking of this in the sense of consciously realizing the passing of time as a synonym to the passing of life. And can you blame those people? Us? Yourself? Not really, since the process of verdrängen is only natural and even highly important. Because if we kept thinking about memento mori, be aware and remember your own mortality all the time, we couldn't live and enjoy life. Line 2, aus der Jugend wird schon Not, reminds of the well-known German phrase, aus der Not eine Tugend machen, making a virtue of necessity. Also because of the phonetic Jugend, Tugend similarity. From our early years onwards, parents, people, the society, and seemingly the whole world has expectations regarding our lives, social norms, being good in school, etc., etc. Line 3, wir sterben weiter, bis wir leben, is a self-reference to the song Dalai Lama, in which the lyrical I says, wir müssen leben, bis wir sterben. We have to live until we die. Here, the lyrical I says, we keep on dying until we live. This highlights that basically the process of dying begins right at the moment of our birth, and it may strengthen what I just said. We mustn't think of memento mori all the time to really be able to enjoy life. Line 4 basically summarizes and links both aspects. Line 5 evokes a maritime-like metaphor of time as water, and that we swim in it or, for instance, drive a boat or ship. The music video directly illustrates the idea of the river of time, but rather in a sea-like environment, which is fitting when you think about it. Because when we are on a boat or a ship out on the open sea, you can't see the next shore at all times while knowing it is there. And metaphorically speaking, we know about das Ende, the end, death or the end of one's life, but we literally can't foresee it most of the time. Line 6 addresses our endless desire to be, become or get more of everything in our lives. Taking this as a criticism, many human beings often don't seem to allow themselves to really break free from this hamster wheel of their lives. But even though it arguably can be hard to do that, there are ways to stop it here and there and reflect on things. And it's important, I think. In other words, sometimes I think many people take things for granted because they don't know it any other way. But those things shouldn't be taken for granted, right? That is the point that I want to make here. Line 7 may address a common spiritual and religious-based view on the afterlife in the sense of die Ewigkeit, eternity, that not all, but many people share across different religions and beliefs. Once you get to the next Ufer, shore, you realize how much land and path lies in front of you. Will you be able to walk the entire path? Probably not. Will it still be worth it to go as far as possible? Probably yes. We can't escape the circle of life. Picture me singing The Lion King here, giving it a slightly negative or dismal connotation by saying that we're caught in the river of time. That is true, but like I said, that doesn't mean we can't live a good life while we have it. The last word, Zeit, also works as the first word in the song's chorus. Neat effect, I think. Zeit. Bitte bleib stehen. Bleib stehen. Zeit. Das soll immer so weitergehen. The lyrical I almost desperately addresses time as if it's an entity or a person and begs for it to stop. You can call the wish expressed in line 4 naive, but to me, it's grounded in personal devastation and helplessness. And I love how emotional Till intonates this line in particular. Verse 2 goes like this. Warmer Körper ist bald kalt. Zukunft kann man nicht beschwören. Duldet keinen Aufenthalt. Erschaffen und sogleich zerstören. Ich liege hier in deinen Armen. Ach, könnte es doch für immer sein. Doch die Zeit kennt kein Erbarmen. Schon ist der Moment vorbei. Whereas verse 1 was rather general, this one is a bit more specific about human lives. It still addresses die Unausweichlichkeit, the inevitability of dying quite biologically, warm body turning cold, line 1, and helpless, we can't control time, line 2, let alone stop it, line 3. Line 4 somewhat reminds me of building sand castles, which also fits when we think of time as sand slipping through our fingers. Compared to the age of the universe and the Earth, our lifespan of 80, 90, 100 years maybe, that's just a grain of sand on a beach. This line may also address certain spiritual or religious ideas of how life is created by a godlike superior force or entity which takes life away as well, quite fast. For instance, imagining a superior entity for a moment, or even going into physics, wormholes, die Raumzeit, and theories of being able to bend time, #interstellar. It's interesting that other creatures, for instance insects, may experience time completely differently to how we experience the passing of time as human beings. And younger people, kids for instance, might also experience the passing of time way different compared to elders, for instance. That alone is so fascinating to me. That's another problematic factor in all of this, at least for industrialized first world Western states and societies basically, as far as I'm concerned, because I feel that while striving for more constantly without pause, we don't allow ourselves to really think outside the box and to reflect ourselves, our own doings and actions, and neither do we reflect enough on the surroundings and how we interact with the surroundings. And I don't think that's healthy, to be honest. Lines 5 to 8 make us realize how important it is to cherish every beautiful moment consciously, because it can vanish just like that. Just by being aware of that, it allows us to really cherish these moments to the fullest, I think. The second and third chorus both feature an additional segment that goes Zeit. Es ist so schön, so schön. Ein jeder kennt den perfekten Moment. I love the last two lines, which are connected, because it is true. I also have many of those magic moments that I treasure and appreciate dearly. Some of them may be long gone, but the memory of them still exists. We can't control time, but we have invented ways to capture memories and moments in time, for instance by taking photographs. Verse 3 basically concludes the circle of life and our human knowledge of mortality. Wenn unsere Zeit gekommen ist, dann ist es Zeit zu gehen. Aufhören, wenn's am schönsten ist, die Uhren bleiben stehen. So perfekt ist der Moment, doch weiter läuft die Zeit. Augenblick, verweile doch. Ich bin noch nicht bereit. This verse stresses that even though we are aware of our own death, the Reaper sometimes arrives when we least expect it. Linguistically speaking, this verse makes use of a few examples of an ellipsis, mainly to fit in with the meter of each line. All three examples share the same missing vowel, E. This one is a good example of Till incorporating common German phrases into lyrics. The usual complete form would be Man soll aufhören, wenn's am schönsten ist, which could be seen as cynical because many people can't have a good ending of their lives because of sickness or frailty, but I don't think it's meant that way at all. It may as well touch upon divisive topics like die Sterbehilfe, assisted dying, or der Suizid, the suicide, in the sense of people freely and willingly choosing their life's ending. This verse doesn't exactly add new aspects compared to the previous ones. It's rather important to underline how kostbar, precious time and our lifetime really is. In line 7, the lyrical eye wants the moment to last forever since they are not ready to let it go or die yet, as implied in line 8. While we can understand this urge and may feel the same way, which is just normal, I think it's important to mention that moments do matter the way they do to us because they don't last forever. My thesis is that if moments lasted forever, life would be very monotonous and boring, and we wouldn't really appreciate and cherish life and living for what it truly is, atemporal, but because of that ever so powerful and meaningful existence. I think what makes Zeit by Rammstein one of the most profound, mature and philosophical Rammstein lyrics to date is basically that depending on your own surroundings, your own context, your own knowledge and your own persona, your experiences and your life, basically, your life path, if you will. Depending on all those factors, you might actually react to the song in different ways, because people that might not have had a great life so far, they might react to this differently. They might see time passing by and, our temporal existence as something that is not so great at all. Some people might not even want to live anymore, and they might see time and the passing of time as a burden in a way. And there are other people, for instance, that might say, okay, yeah, time is passing by and I know my existence is only a temporal one, but that also means that I have to make the most of it. I have to live life to the fullest, not in the sense of, taking drugs and party and whatever, maybe, but you know what I mean, I guess, I hope. Zeit by Rammstein in its philosophical context and poetry, very metaphorical poetry, thought-provoking words, lines, phrases, and whatnot. I truly think this is a masterpiece, to be honest with you. I think Till outdid himself here, as I've said at the beginning of this video, so it all comes full circle. Just like our existence, we come from somewhere, we go somewhere, and at the end of the day, I think we have to make the best of our lives. The time in between. Die Zeit. I hope you enjoyed this video. I sure did enjoy making it. If you did, feel free to let me know by leaving a like, by sharing the video with others. That helps a lot. Feel free to do that. That is greatly appreciated. Thanks to all my supporters on Patreon and my channel members for your support, and for everyone else for commenting, for sharing and whatnot. That truly means a lot to me. Thank you very much. Also, feel free to check out my initial first reaction to the song and the music video right here, and have fun with my other videos as well. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Revlog Dave. Tschüss und bis zum nächsten Mal.